Adam, welcome to the channel. I'm really excited to have you here to share your journey in roofing sales. And before we get started, I want you to jump right in. Where are you right now? Tell me about that email you sent me.
Okay, so I've been watching you for a few months, definitely taking in, absorbing all the different types of information, strategies that you kind of coach and teach. Um, but yeah, I haven't been doing this, but for a few months now. Started at the end of last year, right at December. Didn't have any sales like job before. I come from the working pipeline, and it kind of just happened to have a friend. I had a friend who was a sales manager at this roofing company, and so before, it's kind of like me. So before I go into anything, I want to do all the research, all the investigation before I make a decision. So just like anybody else, Googling, YouTubing, your stuff pops up. So I start seeing it, and I start seeing how many videos you have. So I start diving into that more and started following you. Went ahead and took a chance on it, and started it, and ended up just hitting the ground running, per se. I mean, they said I was doing really good. I didn't really have anything to compare it to because I'd never done sales before. But yeah, I just implemented everything that you've taught. I had really good supervisors, sales managers to kind of like just support me, and answer all my questions. But like we stayed in contact through email, and yeah. So my first full month, because December had like holidays and stuff off, there were gaps where we weren't working. um, but yeah, my first full month, January of this year, I broke 100,000. And again, I didn't know if like that was normal or typical. They said I was like crushing it, but I was just doing what you said to do. Just keep my head down, just keep on getting out there doing it. And so yeah, right now I'm currently, I think it's February 5th or something. I'm at 134 for the year. So and I still have, like, I got another meeting today. I got a build going on right now. I'm just staying busy, man. Just trying to keep my head
Dude,
down.
that's awesome. And I'm going to share my screen for everyone just to see, because this is what started. Adam and I have exchanged some emails. Adam reached out and he says, Adam, I just wanted to let you know that you were right. I started roofing sales a little more than 2 months ago, followed your strategies and using the tools inside the battle pack. I have climbed to #1 at our company. I broke 100,000 in sales within my first full month. So, dude, um, this pace that you're on will bring you, and this is the hard. Everyone that's watching, by the way, who's been in roofing sales knows this time of year is the slowest for everybody.
That's what I've been told.
You're at 135. If you keep that pace, you're going to break well over $1 million, and that's insane. Do you have any idea what kind of income that'll equate to you at this rate?
I was told that it's going to be easily over 100,000 a year.
Yeah, depending on the commission structure and all that, for sure, without a doubt. What were you earning before you got into this industry? Only if you want to share. I don't want to pry.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a pretty diverse background, but what I was doing directly before I started roofing sales, I was doing pipeline surveying, and it's good money. But with that, you have to travel and stuff, and I don't like being away from the family, but I was probably making 75 a year.
Gotcha.
So, with the
Good
money
money.
I'm making now, yeah, good money. But again, just the circumstances and the situation with being away from family, and then the long days, it's so taxing on you. Uh, it was just exhausting, and I wanted to find a better situation. But with the money I'm making now, it's like, why have I never found this before?
Yeah, how haven't you? That's awesome. So tell me a little bit. You got into roofing sales. Your friend was the sales manager, did you say?
Well, so when I was doing surveying, I was actually working up in North Dakota, and I'm from Louisiana. So it was like a total transition. It was a big jump as far as climate and stuff, because we ended up going in 2020 in February. So it was like negative degrees. I had to adjust majorly. But a friend of mine, Matt Ramsey, he knew one of his friends, Gage Lyles, which is who my supervisor is now. Towards the end of we ended up getting laid off at that job. But we were wondering, like, what are we going to do for work? And I actually do me and my wife, we have an online marketing sales kind of business. It hasn't taken off too much, but the things that I did was I started learning and educating and reading myself, and just spending more time and like developing myself instead of like watching Netflix and stuff. So I wasn't new to like reading, and like you talk about like Brian Tracy stuff. I was like tapping into that, and I have been for a while. So my buddy Matt said, yeah, I think that you'd kill this roofing sales business. So he got in contact with Gage and said, yeah, let's get him a job. And Gage was like, yeah, sure, bring him on. We'll see what he can do. So yeah, that's kind of how that transpired. It was just kind of a shot in the dark. I didn't know if I was going to be good at it. But apparently with all my kind of prerequisite reading and self-education and stuff, it kind of just tied in together and just naturally start. And then with watching your stuff, I just took everything all together and just kind of went at it.
Put it together. Man, that's awesome. Us Adams must have something in common with the personal development. And like you, everyone I've talked with, no one has been like, oh, I had this dream to be in roofing sales. Everyone just like stumbles into it on accident. And I love what you shared about the growth of like, instead of and don't get me wrong, I enjoy Netflix, and hanging out
Yeah.
and just unwinding, but it has its place. And when you can invest in yourself, all it takes is the one breakthrough to get to that next level, to figure out, oh, if I tweak this at the door, oh, if I can do this. And so we find it in the craziest places. I'm looking down because I have my journal and I was journaling this morning about my plans for the next 3 months. And I was just like, oh man, if I can do that, then this will be, and then it help with whatever it is. So man, that's so cool. So tell me about your start. Like, did you have success straight out of the gate, or were there some kind of hiccups or bobbles along the way?
So it's kind of funny because like I remember when I was first starting, like I said, Gage, I have Daniel, we have supervisors and managers that really help us and do everything they can to make sure that we have everything we need to be successful. So they
Mhm.
definitely set you up for success. It's just, again, I didn't have anything to compare it to, so I didn't know if I was doing things right or if I was doing things wrong. But I was just looking for older roofs around areas where I knew there had been storm damage. That's typically what we should go for. Storm damaged roofs, and so I started going around these areas, and I noticed that most of them had been done, or the ones that were older already had their own situation. They were waiting for things to happen or all this. So I didn't really know how to handle, those situations. In my opinion, I think that I was taking kind of more of a kind of like I was trying to sell. But the more I did it, I realized that it wasn't so much about selling. It was more about just like understanding where the homeowner is, and then kind of like educating them on like how we could help them through the process. So, and a lot of it, came from like after I started to do it more, I was, constantly, I watch your videos like all the time. So it would just kind of like just accumulate my knowledge and my confidence and my skills. So yeah, I got to the point like my first few weeks, I was like, oh my God, all these houses are done. There's no more houses out there. But then like towards the end of my first month, I had like, or the first months I worked, not my first full month, but that December, I realized that there was just like there's an abundance of houses out there. I just have to tweak kind of like what I'm looking for, and then also tweak my approach as well as far as communicating with the homeowner. And I started doing that. Started asking open-ended questions, kind of like keeping the conversation going, and it had a big impact. So
Man,
yeah, I thought in the beginning I was like, dude, I don't know if this is gonna work because I wasn't making any money and I wasn't closing any sales. But then it just started getting better and better, and I became better and better. So yeah, it's kind of just like just rolling now, man.
man, that's so heartwarming to hear because like I'm sure everybody listening knows they're either in that moment now of wondering, is this for me? Is it going to work? Every roof's been done. That self-doubt, the negative self-talk, there's easier ways to do this. And then something happens and we find success. And I love that inspiration. So for you, what was the one strategy that you felt helped you make that move to go from, hey, every roof's been done, losing hope, to making it work? What's the one strategy that helped you make that breakthrough?
Well, going back to just tweaking that approach and as far as communicating with the homeowner, that was a big one. But at the end of the day, I think I have to boil it down to just sheer tenacity. I had, like I said, I got over the fear of knocking on houses pretty quick,
Uh-huh.
because we had, like I said, we had that online business. We do Zooms face to face, and we've gotten rejected before, so that was already out of the way, which I know is a big deal for a lot of people coming into this kind of industry. But yeah, man, it just came down to knocking every single door that I saw that could potentially be a good have good damage on it, and I started out with oh, if it has drip edge, I'm not knocking it. Well, I stopped that, and so I started taking it, like I started looking at different things, like,
You were you the one that emailed me about that? That someone told you to not knock if there was drip edge?
no, but I saw that video and I thought that was
Okay.
crazy.
Yeah, I didn't think that was
Yeah,
you, but so you
yeah,
had seen this through. It was the first time I had heard that, but
yeah, no. So it's a good thing for me, if I see like algae on the roof and then 3 tab, it's an older roof. If there's any kind of damage that has been in the last few years, but is an active date, there's a lot of factors. So I started just to like, enhance my accumulation of different factors, like just looking at everything.
sure.
And I guess my eyesight kind of just grew a little bit broader as to like what could be, as opposed to when I started, it was so narrow. I was like, oh, if this isn't, I don't need to knock that door. Well, it just started opening up, and I was like, well, every door technically is knockable. So to a certain degree, of course, but yeah, my discretion, I guess, improved, and then I just kept getting after it. And so
Uh,
now it's fun. Now I get out, and it sucks because, like once you, like, I know you mentioned this and I never thought this would happen, but you said there's going to come a time, like after you start, you're going to start getting busy and busy and busy. And you're going to have to kind of make adjustments. But, I had that self-doubt in the beginning. So I never knew if that was really going to happen, but now it's happening. And I'm like, damn, like I got all these things going on. I don't have time in the afternoon to knock right now because I have so much going on, and it kind of sucks because I start to enjoy knocking now because, the relationships that you build with the homeowners, you're actually helping them. And it just became more fun to me. So, yeah, it was just, it's been a journey and a fun one.
dude, that's so great. And do you mind if I just ask you a little bit about the open-ended questions
Oh,
piece?
absolutely.
So you had mentioned asking open-ended questions, starting conversations, and discovering how you can help. What
Mhm.
kind are you talking about? Just share with me what kind of open-ended questions you're asking and how that's been helping. And I'm curious, is that from the SLAP formula at the door?
Yes.
Yeah, go into that. I want to hear a little bit more about what's been working for you.
So, again, with going from like a sales, trying to like pitch it to someone as opposed to just like understanding where they're at and kind of like educating them on how you can help them. Uh, I knew that I needed to get, and this comes from you too, is kind of just starting the conversation and just keeping that, as long as you can keep that conversation dragging out, you have their attention,
Yep.
and you have their interest. So instead of just asking them, are you interested in a roof inspection? It's so easy for them to say no. So I take what you said, oh, damn it. What is it? I'm having a brain
I
fart.
know it's because I put you on the spot. I'm
Yeah.
sorry
Okay.
about that.
But it's, when was the last time you had your roof looked at, or how has the process been for you? And they don't, or, if I want to do a roof inspection, I always ask, do you have any objection if I hop up on your roof and see if I see any damage? And it's always 9 times out of 10, I'm getting a, no, I don't mind, because like you said, they get to say no and you get to get on the roof. So it's like
Yep.
it's a bing bing. So if you just ask, do you want a roof inspection? It's so easy for the homeowner to just take the path of least resistance and say, no, that's okay. I appreciate it though. Do you have a business card? And a business card in my eyes is just like, get out of here.
Yep. Yeah.
So, uh,
That's,
on some level. So yeah, that's
that's
the open
true.
ended. Just to me, I just want to create a conversation, kind of like cultivate the relationship, and just make them feel like they can know me, trust me, and like me, and move forward and do business with me.
Yeah. Man, I love what you mentioned with your direct experience too about how when you hold that conversation, things go and you have their attention. And you put it in a way that I haven't done before, which I love. You're like, I have their attention. And so
Mhm.
many people just go in, like people will email me their pitch and say, what do you think? And I was like, stop this, because it's going in too soon. Someone emailed saying, hey, I've been trained to go out and knock doors and say, hey, I'm just here to generate an inspection and we're going to inspect your roof. And if we find damage, we're going to go to bat for you with the insurance company and get it done. And I'm like, whoa, man, you just like gave, I don't know who this guy is. Now you want me to file a claim and now I'm committing to you and I've seen you for 4 seconds. And when you mentioned that attention thing, I learned it on accident because when I would get rejected, I'm like, man, sometimes if I just keep people talking, it changes because then they realize that I'm actually there to help. And
Right.
that mindset shift, I'm very curious if was your experience or if I'm just living in a bubble. But when I started to approach doors that way, I didn't feel like a sleazeball. I didn't feel like I was selling people because I know like, people see this bullseye. It's like, that's $2,000 commission. That's $2,000 commission. But I just kind of let all that go away. It was my inspiration to knock, to earn. But it just changed from feeling like I was selling them to just like, I'm going to start that conversation and navigate it into a sale if I can. And if I can, I'm going to go hit the next door. Did that shift happen to you? Like the internal feeling from being a sleazy salesperson, which some people are going to drop comments like, you know, we're not sleazy. I know we're not, but so many people, this is their internal dialogue. Did you have any of that shift occur when you went from a pitch to open-ended questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I was saying before, from how my initial approach was as far as selling, I didn't have much success with that because I was only focused on the sell and I was only focused on trying to make the money. And I feel like subconsciously they could kind of pick up on that. And it's those small little things that really add up. And so when I made that switch to just kind of like, really wanting to help and just coming in with a complete innocent mindset with like, I don't, it doesn't bother me if you slam the door. I'm like, get out of here. I don't want you. Okay, that's great. And that's that. People are gonna be like that. And you can't do anything about that. But if you honestly go in with a very genuine mindset and you're really wanting to help, you just want to see if you can. Because I mean, I say it up front. I'm very honest. If I don't see damage, I'm not taking. I'm not gonna come. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna take pictures of what I see because I know it's really important for them to visualize because they're not gonna go climbing on the roof. And nobody expects them to. So with me, I'm simply just offering, my time right now. It won't take me 5 or 10 minutes. And if I see anything, I'll take some pictures of it and show it to you. And then we can just go from there. If not, then I'll just give you a clean bill of health and be about my way. So
Yeah.
that just comes across as being very honest and like just wanting to help them. And the dynamic changes drastically. So it helps out a lot.
Dude, it's so great seeing the honest approach and the integrity behind it. And the other thing that's so important with what you said is that mindset shift. Because I'm going to ask this one question first. Do you agree that in this position, the number one enemy is our own head?
100%.
Yeah, it's how we have to overcome. And there's all this chatter. And what's funny is we're not often aware of it. It's like, I don't want to go knock doors and we can't figure out why. And it's like, I don't feel right doing it. I feel like I'm trying to be someone I'm not, right? Or I'm trying to sell. And you're right, that unconscious stuff gets picked up. And when we shift into this service mindset and just approach the door of, I don't know if they're a sale yet until I have that conversation. It's just like, there's something I can't put words to it. And I've been struggling for years to put words to it, but that it's like it mutes that voice and then our confidence builds up.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, I'm just out in the neighborhood. And then that's when I started to love my job. I remember vividly when I called my dad, I said, Dad, this is the first time in my life that I wish I had more time in the day to go to work.
That's right.
Because I used to sit there and watch that clock, man. I'm like, oh, hit that number. I'm out, and now it's like 8:30. I'm like, come on, son, don't set yet. I got 3 more doors I want to hit, and then I got to do this. And it was like, it becomes so thrilling.
Yes, I know. It's funny that you say that because it happened the other day. I was looking behind my shoulder. It was like 5:30. The sun had like 30 or 40 minutes left, and I'm like, I'm heading home. And I look behind. I'm like, damn, the sun's setting. I just probably just go home, but I couldn't. I was like, I still got sun. I'm gonna go hit this area. I did, and I got a contract. And I was literally taking pictures with my night mode on my iPhone of their garage collateral damage. And believe like I had to use the night mode to get the dings in the garage door.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got it contracted. So yeah, it was worth it.
That's awesome. That's awesome, Adam. How has your life been changed? Like, what's been the impact on you? Forget work for a minute. Personal life. What's changed because of this for you?
So, like I was saying, a lot of my prior knowledge and everything came from kind of just like understanding how important it was to like focus on my personal development and self-education and just investing more in myself than I was at my job before. But now it kind of ties into it's like all one. Like I can't remember how you put it, but it's beautiful. It's sales is disguised as self-development with making money, or I can't remember how it is, but that's I took that to heart because it's true. And with like a regular job getting paid an hourly wage, you're only paid for your direct time. With this, you're paid for the results that you can produce. So with the shift, I had a little bit more freedom. I had a sense of freedom with this. But yeah, I'm focusing. I've always started like I started focusing more on myself than what I was doing at work for a few years now because of our business. It just that's what it's based around. It's based around growth and improving, you as a person. And so, yeah, it's given me that sense of freedom and ability to do that. I kind of get to do it as I want, kind of just like working at my own pace. And it was so new to me, but I appreciated it, and I've loved it ever since. So
That's awesome, man. Thanks for sharing that. It was sales as personal development in disguise. And I have a confession to make on that. I've always felt this, and it was live. I do all my videos in one take. I don't edit. I want everything's in one take. And I was filming it, and this just came to me. And I said it. I've had multiple people reach out. It's now in training manuals of different companies, sales as personal development in disguise. And it was just like it finally materialized. And now I'm glad that it resonates with you, because when we learn, that's the fun thing for anyone watching or listening. Like when you learn something and then you can apply it. And that's why people see, I geek out on psychology. Sales is applied psychology, inward personal development, outward communication. And when you can bridge that gap and take something in new, and then like your brain gets rewired, and all of a sudden you're like, oh man, now I can do this. And it's the little things, the negative agreement that we talked about. Do you have any objection? It's all this stuff. And it is the reward is more success, which makes you more confident, and you earn more money, which then fuels your desire to always improve. So it's like next month, what do you want to hit next month, by the way, in sales? I guess this month. So you did 100 in January, you're at 130 now. Do you have a target in mind?
yeah, my target's 150 for February.
Personal development, improve on the previous month.
Exactly.
And it's man, that's awesome. If you were, you know what, I'm going to save that question for last. You said your goal is 150. What one strategy do you either need to learn new or improve upon that's going to take you to that next level?
That's a good question. That's a hard question. For me, personally, I feel like I just need to learn how to improve my communication with the homeowner. I need to, take different approaches to overcoming objections, because there's still few that get away with the objection, and I feel like I can't do anything about it. But at the end of the day, it's all me, so I'm responsible for it. And I just take responsibility for that and understand that there's always a way around every objection. And it just comes with just understanding them better, making them feel like what they're saying is completely normal, and I can appreciate where they're at, and just kind of like reassuring them that what we're just here to help, and just kind of like ease, because in my mind, with someone saying, oh, it's not that big of a deal. I try to just open up their imagination to how it could be a little bit worse down the road. So I guess for me to improve to the point where, sorry, my phone's going crazy.
That's a good sign.
Right. All right. Sorry about that.
You're good, man.
But anyways, I think it just needs to get better. I need to get better at kind of painting the picture for the homeowner a little bit better. Just seeing how what we're trying to do now is kind of a more proactive approach, as opposed to a more reactive approach, where if damage gets worse down the road, it's going to be a whole bigger, and it's going to be a lot more of a headache, and it could be more expensive. So I feel like I just need to kind of paint the picture a little bit better for them.
Awesome. I'm going to respond to that with some advice or tips to help if you'd like.
Okay.
And I want to tell you the reason I asked that question. I found and this was relatively recently. There's a book I read called The One Thing by, what's his name? Gary Keller. And Gary Keller is the guy that co-founded Keller Williams Realty. And in that book talks about knocking down dominoes, and that when we how a domino works is a domino can knock down a domino twice its size. So in not a very long distance using physics, it can knock down the Sears Tower. And we just need to stay focused on what's the one thing. And for what I've realized is that we're one strategy away. That one strategy, that's our roadblock. Like for you, you said it was shifting from going for the inspection to asking an open-ended question. The SLAP formula, that's the strategy that gets you there. Then the next one is getting on the roof. Okay, so strategy, fill in. Do you have any objection if? Next strategy, showcase the photos to get invited to the kitchen table, get the deal, close. Now your next one is objection. So I always like to get people thinking, what is that one strategy you need? Because then it helps you focus to figure out what's the next personal development objective for me. And when you know that one objective, just put blinders on and say, I am just going to get real good at this one thing. And then before you know it, you're going to master it. And once you do, then you just ask the question again, what's the one strategy? And every time we grow, we create new problems. And that problem needs a solution, a strategy solution. And I've had the same thing, in my personal life. I've had it in business. It applies to everything. So that's why I ask us to help you narrow. It's like you did the 100. The person that you were to do 100,000 in sales is not the same Adam that's going to be here in February to get to 150. So back to you now on that answer. When it comes to learning to overcome objections and then paint the picture of the future, I love that you're crystal clear on what needs to happen. The number one sales skill that comes with experience is what I call think fast ability. That skill in and of itself, you can't really teach. I can't be like, here's this, this, and this. But I can help provide a framework, because thinking fast comes with time. Sometimes all we need to do is buy time to think. So there's a few ways that we can do that. So tip number one, when you're faced with an objection, is ask why. Repeat back to them, hey, what is it about? And then just whatever they said, I need to think about it, or I want the insurance. Hey, do you mind me asking, like, what do you mean about getting your deductible, or why is that, important to you? Any follow-up questions right away, repeating back, gives you time, and you can listen, and then they might even give you another gem. And I know Chris Voss, I recently read I'm in the middle of reading that book, Never Split the Difference, because everyone's recommended it. And this is his tip, is to repeat the last 3 words. I've never used that particular one yet. I'm going to start playing with it. But I've always asked just deeper questions, and then it buys time. The other piece is to use that formula, ARO, acknowledge, reassure, and overcome. And again, this is a tough thing to learn to do, is to be talking and thinking at the same time. But if you can acknowledge what they're saying and say, hey, listen, Peggy, I totally understand. You don't want to pay your deductible. Why would you? No one wants to, right? And then you're feeding her and she's like, he's right. Yeah. And then they're agreeing with you and say, totally makes sense. And now we're going to reassure. It is incredibly normal. I see this all the time. I've worked with a lot of people. And then now we overcome, and then we can fill in with those different angles, educating them about fraud. By the way, I think I have it here. For anyone that hasn't seen this yet, I know I'm going on a small tangent, but in Nationwide's actual letter, this language, and by the way, if you're a podcast listener, I'm sharing the scope here, and I'll read it. It says it's unlawful to knowingly provide false, incomplete, or misleading facts or information to an insurance company for the purpose of defrauding or attempting to defraud the company. Penalties may include imprisonment, fines, denial of insurance, and civil damage. And then, by the way, it continues. So if a homeowner has questions about why you can't falsify an invoice, you can let them know that imprisonment is directly on the thing, and that you're not willing to go to jail to earn their business. So, but at any rate, that framework to ask a deeper question will buy you time. Acknowledging, if you can start to think like, how can I get into this autopilot of starting to acknowledge what they're saying by repeating back to them, but the other side of my brain is starting to think ahead. It's a tough one, but think about it. That will help you develop that think fast ability to overcome those objections. And then the final piece that I want to leave you with is, when you are getting busier like this, the hardest thing is to stay on top of your open deals. So if you don't close it and leave, there's these fresh opportunities. But if you can stay on top of those deals by not letting them slip away, get that follow-up set. Say, hey, totally understand. I know you mentioned you want to think about it. Just the assumption, when's a good time for me to come back and then repeat, help you after you talk with your husband, after the insurance comes out, get it set. And you will find some people will have resistance. They don't want the appointment. Say, that's totally fine. When's a good time for me to call you? Have a set date and time. If you say, I'll call you Tuesday, they don't know when Tuesday, and then you're going to end up in voicemail. So a concrete follow-up time. Say, listen, I respect your time. I don't want to catch you in the middle of doing something, putting the kids down or whatever. When's a good time? Tuesday. All right. Tuesday morning or afternoon? Afternoon. What time is good for you? 3:00. Perfect. I'll call you at 3. That goes in and you call. You will be amazed at how many jobs you land because all of these other objections that we don't know about are often wanting to talk with another roofer who is too busy to follow up. And you kind of become the default yes. I've had this happen a lot. The other guy dropped the ball. So does that make sense?
Oh yeah, that's awesome. I'm writing some notes down too. So
Solid,
yeah,
solid. So 2 more questions for you that I wrote down. Where do you see yourself in 2 years? Where are you heading in the future?
2 years. With working on ourselves, me and my wife here in the last few years, our idea of like what could be has expanded. And because like you said, I'm not the same person I was last month, and I'm not going to be the same person tomorrow as I am today. And so we're really just kind of on a path to just reaching our full potential, or at least pursuing our full potential, because I don't think we're ever actually capable of reaching that. But if we can pursue it every single day and just improve every day and just build on that from yesterday, that's really all we really want to do. But as far as where I see myself in 2 years, I want to get more knowledgeable about financial education, sales, marketing, business, because with this introduction, I've gotten a whole different outlook on what's possible as far as business, and how we can serve others, and it coming back to us, and it's just it's a win-win for everybody, because we provide service and we provide help, and just mentorship, because that's kind of what's helped me, like with you, all your education and coaching, your videos, same thing for like my team, and it's just a cycle, and I want to be able to provide for other people as people have provided for me. So it's I'm honestly, I'm not 100%. I don't have a picture of where I want to be in 2 years, but I know I want to be better than I am today. So that's a good question. I'll have to think about that one.
Yeah. I love that relentless pursuit. Oh man, my journal, I have an electronic journal and it's charging. I was going to grab it. I got this exercise from the One Thing, that book by Gary Keller. And he said it was goal planning to the future. So 5 year, 1 year, 1 month, 1 week, today, right now. I love that ladder, because 5 year, it was like, even for me, I was like, man, 5 years, like so much has changed in a year. Where would that be? And it really forced me to get my vision pretty set, and then breaking it down into a year, and then in the next month. And I repeat this, I actually just redid this exercise myself this morning, and then into the week, and then getting really granular. Like, what is that one thing today that if I do it, it's going to help make everything else easier? And this is Gary Keller's quote, by the way, it's not mine. What one thing, if I can do it now, and I'm butchering the exact language, will make everything else easier and or unnecessary. And I love that added piece of unnecessary. Like if you ended up selling, I don't know, let's say a $3 million commercial deal, it would technically be unnecessary for you to do any other residential. Of course you wouldn't, you'd keep going on it. But my point is, like, it would be easier or unnecessary. What would it be? So, if I just knocked down one sale today in this neighborhood, that would be it. If I just got one referral today for this customer, that would be it. And it really helps you just kind of knock a domino down every day. And that's a really nice mindset to get in. It's like, I got to do is knock down the domino right in front of me, and keeps you going. So last 2 questions for you. And I know I said I had 2 more before, but I added one.
All right.
Question number 1, what is your best advice? If you were talking to yourself or anyone that was in your position, even a month ago, starting off, what would you tell them that you wish you had now?
I guess I would just kind of like explain like the teeter-totter between fear and confidence. So, at the beginning, for me, my fear was high because I didn't have the skills. And so, but the thing is, the more you do it, it's just with anything, you're going to get better. And so just get out there and do it. Because it's kind of like riding a bike with anything, you may fall, but that's okay. As long as you get back up and just keep on trying. But I realized that the more my confidence and my skills started to go up, my fear started to go down. So it's, those teeter totters. So if your fear is really high, it's because your confidence and your skills are low. It's just when you raise those skills, your fear starts to go down. Now, like I said, now I have fun door knocking and I'm talking to homeowners. Used to intimidate the hell out of me. But it's because that that ratio kind of switched on me. So I would just kind of explain that. And the only way you can really get through that is just doing it in practice and preparation and education and just focusing on what you need to do and what needs to be done. So
Yeah. Awesome. That's super helpful. And then the final question is, and I'm switching it because I really liked your answer. And by the way, for anyone watching or listening, Adam asked that I not share these questions with him first. So this is all, he's getting all these blind. And this one wasn't even on my list to ask, but you mentioned that confidence teeter-totter and that when the skills went up, the fear went down. What, for you, what was the most valuable skill or most inspiring skill, life-changing skill that you developed that when you did, help that fear kind of get squashed?
application of information, implementing what I was learning. It's one thing to read a great book and put it on the shelf and not do anything from what you just learned.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd have to say that's the biggest. Most people, I see them riding around with music. I'm listening to audiobooks or I'm listening to your videos. I'm constantly just feeding information, taking notes, just trying to improve myself on a daily scale, each and every way I possibly can. So that's probably the biggest, just massive investments into yourself, because in my mind, like we're not in so much of an industrial age, more in information age. So really the biggest, your ultimate leverage is your mind, your knowledge, and your application of what you've learned. So that's probably the biggest. Just don't see a great video from you, actually implement what I learned from you. And so that's really been the biggest difference, I think.
Awesome. That's great to hear. And thanks for sharing that. It reminds me of, there's a lot of different books out there on forming good habits. There's Atomic Habits. I forget the author's name. There's The Power of Habit. There's the book, The One Thing, which kind of leads to it. There's The Magic of Thinking Big. There's a lot of books that talk about getting better and doing the doing, as I say. And you'll probably see this on my Instagram posts. I say this a lot, doing the doing. And all of them in various ways say that discipline, self-discipline is a limited resource. It truly is. It's like a battery. It takes discipline to get things started, to implement, but it's almost like going into outer space. It takes this incredible amount of propulsion and energy to get moving. And in 8 minutes, an astronaut is in outer space. 8 minutes, jets turn off and they are cruising at thousands of miles an hour because the energy has propelled them into orbit. And with personal development, and when you talked about doing this, I have this mantra. I say, work the system until the system begins working for you. And when you talked about implementing these, they take effort to start. And that's the difference between great salespeople like you and okay salespeople, is they do the work, and it's not easy. But once you work the system, all of a sudden this momentum carries you. And I love it. You said, I didn't believe that it would happen, but here I am with not enough time to knock doors. I'm like, that's an amazing problem to create. So totally love it, man. Is there anything else that you want to close with or share that has been helpful for you, where you're going, any advice, anything? This is your moment to say whatever you want. And if you don't want to say anything, I won't hold it against you.
Well, I probably had about 100 things that I could have said, but kind of, just kind of all over the place now. I guess what I could really touch on is just, again, just focus more on investing in yourself. Again, with the information age, I mean, it's all about knowledge and application of the knowledge. It really does. It's those small little things, like instead of listening to the latest Drake album or something, that the latest music that just came out, you put on a Brian Tracy audio, or Grant Cardone, or somebody that has some value to give. It's all out there. There's no lack of information. It's just lack of discipline, like you said. So just be disciplined, and just understand that it isn't easy in the beginning, but like you said, it starts to work for you if you do the work. So that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Adam, thank you so much for jumping on to share your story. I know it was great and fun for me to hear. It's awesome to see you doing it, putting in the work and changing your life, creating new opportunities. And you shared some absolute golden nuggets for anyone listening, whether you're brand new or seasoned. There's nuggets in there. So Adam, thanks for being here, man. Appreciate you a ton.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.